All right, ready for our next case. Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Todd Patrick Thibodeaux, 112796.
All right, Todd, my name is Brennan Kelsey. Along with me is Mr. Marabella and Ms. Renata will be your panel. Explain the process to you, read some information to the record. Have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
You have Ms. Stacy Pearson and Mr. Don Menard who are here that'll speak at the appropriate time. Todd Thibodeaux, DOC number 112796. You are a ninth class offender. Parole eligibility date 12/26/2023. Good time date 1/1/2025. Full term date 12/27/2038. 20-year sentence. Simple burglary. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you answer Mr. Marabella, please?
Good morning, Mr. Thibodeaux. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm good.
My name is Tony Marabella. I'll start our interview process, okay? You
Yes,
hear me
sir.
all right?
Yes, sir.
Thibodeaux, how old are you, sir?
I'm 60 years old, sir.
How long have you been in prison on these charges this time?
This has been going on since I was in my early 20s, sir.
No. Right
Oh.
now, prison. How
Oh.
long have you been in prison this go around?
5 years, sir. Since January of 19.
Okay. So roughly, how many years have you spent in prison since you were a young man?
28, somewhere around there.
Tell me a little bit about your educational background before you go to school.
I graduated from high school. I have 2 years of college. I'm a licensed electrician and I have a refrigeration license.
So tell me why all these burglaries? Tell me why are you in the predicament you're in today? It's some guidance here.
Well, it's been a drug addiction. My thefts have been purely to support a drug addiction habit. My drug addiction started at the age of probably 15.
What did you start using at 15?
Yes, sir. I was brutally molested by a Catholic priest at the age of 12.
Let me stop. Let me stop you for a second, Mr.
Okay.
Thibodeaux. I've read all the reports. I've read all the psychological reports.
Okay.
We'll put that and let you discuss that as you wish. Okay.
Okay.
Right now, I'm interested in your drug use. And I think maybe you didn't hear my question. My question was, what did you start using at age 15?
Marijuana, sir.
And you progressed from there to what?
I was prescribed a lot of Valium and Xanax, something called Placidils. I was prescribed from a psychiatrist, but then I started abusing it.
And how often were you using drugs?
All my life, sir.
How often? Every day?
Weekly. Mostly it started off just on weekends and then it progressed to several days during the week. When I was employed offshore, mostly I would, I'd go offshore and stay clean for 7 days, but then I'd use the whole 7 days when I got back. And eventually I couldn't keep gainful employment. And then I went to, the thefts to support my habits, sir.
Have you ever had treatment on the outside?
No, sir. No, sir. I went through the Steve Hall program.
Stan, I know you did that in 2020.
Okay.
We're gonna get there, okay? I'm still talking about you 15 to now, okay? We'll get to programs you've had in prison. Did you
Okay.
ever have any programs outside of prison?
I went to AA and NA a few times. In 1982, I went to CDU of Baton Rouge. I was 19 years old.
What about mental health treatment? You've indicated, and I've read all your information about being molested as a young man, and I understand all of that. Tell me about your history of mental health treatment.
I've never had it, sir.
You've never had any mental health treatment on the outside?
No, sir.
Now, I note Judge Castle, when she sentenced you, and as well as in her letters to the parole board, is that she is opposed to your getting out unless you get mental health treatment and substance abuse treatment. We're going to get to Steve Hoyle. It looks like you've gotten some substance abuse treatment.
Yes, sir.
Are you on any sort of medication for mental health issues now?
I'm on Prozac for anxiety, sir.
Okay, and when did you start taking Prozac?
2 months prior to my arrest in January of 19. It was a nurse practitioner that I expressed my anxiety issues with, and she began me on Prozac.
Are you continuing to take Prozac where you are now?
Every day, sir.
Have you ever had a mental health evaluation?
Since I've been incarcerated, yes, not on the
Yeah.
outside.
And what were the results of that mental health evaluation?
It
Was
was
there a diagnosis of any sort?
it was Dr. Lowe, and it was paid for through my settlement with the diocese. I believe y'all have his report because I forwarded it to y'all. He never really gave me a full diagnosis. He wants me to, seek further treatment when I get out, so psychological treatment.
Go ahead.
I did gain a lot from we did several sessions on Zoom, and I did gain a lot from him. He explained to me that my anger is never going to go away, but he's helped me with some tools to live with it instead of acting out on it.
Let's talk about what you've done since you've been in prison this time now for the last 5 years. Did you say you've been in prison?
Yes, sir.
So what programs have you taken? I know you've gone to Steve Hall. We're going to get to that in just a few moments. But what other programs have you taken since you've been in prison?
I've taken reentry, thinking for a change. There was Parrington. There was something else at the Steve Hall program I did other than that, because I got stuck there in COVID and ended up taking treatment for 1.5 years there.
So tell me how you've changed from the person who's had, gosh, I don't know how many arrests you actually had. You've been on supervision 7 times, you've been revoked 4 times. 1 time was unsatisfactory and 2 actually expired appropriately. So tell me how you've changed this time since you've been in prison and why.
Well, I'm 60 years old. And first off, I know I don't want to die in prison of old age. I'm tired. I finally come to some closure with the diocese. They've admitted their faults. They've rewarded me. I've gained a lot of help through the psychiatrist and the Steve Hall program. I can't think of the lady's name that was over. She retired, but she did sessions with me, and I can't keep punishing me because of what happened to me. I mean, yes, there's victims, and I feel terrible about that, and I want to make amends and pay full restitution and everything, but I'm hurting me. My whole life has been in prison. I have a granddaughter that I haven't seen yet. My parents are getting older, and they won't be around much longer.
Let me ask, what have you learned since you've been in prison the last 5 years that will convince me that if I vote to let you out, you'll stay sober?
I came to a point in my life where I want to change. Everyone, tried to get me to change before, and I wasn't ready. So I'm done.
Mr. Thibodeaux, let me stop you for a second and say to you, that's a great answer and that's a great start. That's the first step in recognizing the problem, how you solve it. My question is, now that you've recognized that, what tools have you learned, your time at Steve Hoyle, thinking for a change, You took, I believe you took risk management 1, 2.
Yes,
What tools have you learned, or what tools will you put in place when you get out to maintain your sobriety? Because can we both agree that clearly you've had a lot of mental health issues?
Yes.
Some of which certainly were not caused by your own self, but they're there, which have led to a significant drug addiction.
Yes.
Now, the question becomes, how are you going to deal with that? How can you convince me to vote for you that you'll stay sober?
First, I've always looked at myself as a victim. They taught me to rephrase that as a survivor, which has really changed a whole lot of my mentality at the way I look at, how I felt about everything. Secondly, I have to feel all the time that I use doing drugs, I have to fill that with something. They taught me I have to, find hobbies, which I do here. I work in the hobby shop, make a lot of woodworking, and I need to continue that. I have to fill that gap where I spent all this time focusing on getting more drugs to doing better, something better. I will always have, it just doesn't go away. I still have to seek, NAAA, a support system.
Let's talk about a support system. Talk to me about NA and AA. Is that important to you? Is that something that you think you need to continue to maintain?
Very important. And I did submit a residence plan, but Mr. Don Menard, who is on there to speak with me, I would prefer going to Sanctuary in Lake Charles, which is a treatment and a social sober living house after that, because I need some help transitioning back to society. Last time I just went out there and I was just overwhelmed.
Talk to me a little bit about your family. You said your parents are still alive?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're upset with me, but they still love me and they still support me, but they are upset at the time. And
what other family do you have?
I have one sister. She has a niece, and I have 2 daughters. One's married and lives in Baton Rouge, and the other lives in Houston. She's a school teacher. So
You have a relationship with your 2 daughters?
Very seldom do I talk to them. I've been in and out of their life so much that, they said, Dad, it's going to take time. If I get out and do the right thing, they'll be there. If I get out and mess up again, no.
Why do you think this time is different? What's happening there?
Well, I'm not angry anymore. I've learned to deal with the anger. I'm like I said, I hate to keep expressing it, but I'm 60 years old and I'm done. I'm tired. If I come back, the court's going to get fed up with me and just put me away forever. And that's not what I want. I'm better than that. And everyone expresses that. And prison is not where I want to spend the rest of my life. It has where I've been spending my life, but it's not, sir.
Tell me about your transition plan. Where will you live?
Well, if I go to this program, it would be a treatment center, and it would be treatment at are you familiar with Sanctuary?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And then it's treatment, then a sober living house. They help you provide for a job, and you got to attend AA so many times a week, and a meeting in the house with like a counselor.
Have you been accepted into that program?
The owner has, yes. They're just trying to figure out who's going to pay for it. It's if you're going to be the Medicaid or judicial system. They're not sure yet.
You indicated that you had a settlement from the diocese. They have finances, that money waiting for you once you get out?
Yes, sir.
Sufficient to pay for treatment if you had to?
Yes, sir. And I was ordered to pay restitution. There is a victim in St. Landry Parish that told the pre-hearing investigator he wanted restitution, but he never got back to me with a receipt of anything or how much I owe him.
Do you have sufficient funds to pay off restitution? I mean, you've got.
Yes.
tons of money.
Yes, sir. I don't know how much this treatment is. I don't know the price of it. All he discussed was maybe Medicaid would pay for it. We didn't discuss me paying for it yet, but if it came to that, I could definitely pay a portion of it, I'm sure.
What can you tell us about Mr. Thibodeaux?
Sir?
Someone in there with you?
Yes, I have two, yes. So,
Good morning.
What can you tell us about Mr. Thibodeaux?
Well, first of all, I'm Corporal Billboard. I work here for Rapid Beach Parish Sheriff's Department. I'm their maintenance supervisor out here at the facility. He has been with me for almost 2 years now. And I do believe that he is in a place to where he does want to change. I've never spoke on one of these for nobody. I've never tried to, but I'm at a point to where I've worked with him for a very long time. He's my only working hand that I'll actually have here at this point. I won't even let nobody else go out there because he does such a good job and I don't have to worry about any of the stuff that these other guys do. I'm not worried about him bringing anything into prison. He's free out there. He has his own office. I mean, if he decided to, he could up and leave at any time, just about. He works the weekends, he hobby crafts, does a great job at that. I mean, I've seen him work on everything in this prison. So I have no doubt that he could go out there and work a very successful job if that's what he chooses to do.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, now we hear from a brief statement from Ms. Stacy Pearson.
Good morning. My name is Stacy Pearson, and I'm a retired Louisiana State Police Sergeant. I first met Mr. Thibodeaux in 2016 when he was incarcerated at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. I understood that Mr. Thibodeaux was not a violent offender, but he had been transferred there due to overcrowding at another facility. At the time, I was investigating decades-old allegations of sexual assault committed by a Catholic priest serving in the Acadiana region of Louisiana. Mr. Thibodeaux had been identified as one of the priest's child victims. I have not been a part of any of Mr. Thibodeaux's criminal investigations. However, since I've known Mr. Thibodeaux, he has set himself apart from other people I have come into contact with who were in jail or prison. In my 20-year career conducting criminal investigations, I personally found it rare for someone incarcerated to honestly acknowledge the severity of their crimes and truly understand what it was like to be the victim of a crime. Throughout my interactions with Mr. Thibodeaux, he expressed remorse for his crimes and empathy for the people that he victimized. While I believe he is undoubtedly entitled, and while he's been profoundly and irreparably harmed by another human being, not once to me has he minimized his criminal activities or blamed anyone else but himself for his actions. As a survivor of an unspeakable crime, Mr. Thibodeaux has proven to me to be brave and courageous, and he has held on to hope that with continued mental health and substance abuse treatment and a lot of hard work, he can live his life with meaning and purpose outside of the corrections environment. I can't guarantee that Mr. Thibodeaux will not reoffend, only he can do that. But his seemingly hard to find traits make me believe that if released on parole, Mr. Thibodeaux will not pose an undue risk to society. I respectfully ask that you consider my statement as you consider Mr. Thibodeaux's request for parole.
All right, thank you. Mr. Don Menard.
Yes, good morning. I will have to tell you that the officer just mentioned this is the first time I do this for anyone. But Mr. Thibodeaux it's a very passionate situation for me. I've been knowing Todd for all my life. He was born and raised in the same community as I was. I know his parents very well. His dad I'm a recovering alcoholic, and his father was responsible for me being sober and alive today in a big way. So I'm very passionate on trying to get Todd the help. I'm the one that had mentioned to Todd about the sanctuary. I'm the administrator of a second chance program at the St. Landry Parish government, working with inmates who are dealing with substance abuse or mental health issues. I've used the services of the sanctuary on a numerous occasions, and to tell you how successful they are, I can't give you a number, but they are highly successful. They do mental health, they deal with mental health, they deal with substance abuse. As Todd mentioned earlier, they find work for these people. They have a full-time employee that works with 20 different employers in the Lacassine and Lake Charles area that find jobs for these gentlemen. When they're finished their treatment portion, they are able to go to work, and then they pay their rent, and then they move on to sober living at some point. The good thing about the sanctuary is that it's the only long-term facility that I could find in the state of Louisiana that to help people like Todd with drug issues or mental health, other than the state hospitals, and that's hard to get into. So I utilize their services on many, many occasions. And knowing Todd all my life and in talking to Todd on different occasions, I can see a difference in Todd today. That, when we first spoke, I met him here at court in St. Landry, and that's the first thing he told me. He said, Don, I'm tired. I'm just tired of living this way. And his father is not, his health is deteriorating. And although they are upset with him, as he mentioned, they do love him. And they do want to see him do better. And as far as I'm concerned, I think now is the time. Todd is ready to do better. Todd is ready to be the real Todd Thibodeaux. And he's a wonderful guy. He's very talented. It's unfortunate what has happened to him over the years. And but in being a survivor of, recovering alcoholic, I know the trials and tough times that he can go through with drugs, and I recognize in Todd that he's ready to change. He's ready to do better. And
All
I
right,
thank
thank
you
you
for the
so-
opportunity to speak on his behalf.
Thank you for your comment. All right, Todd, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
I'm really nervous. I know my past is intensive. I can't change that. All I can do is change today, and hopefully, make tomorrow a better place for me and everyone around me and that supports me. I just ask for mercy from the board to please look at what I've done since I've been incarcerated, the support system I have, and the willingness that I have to change and go forward with a better life. Thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Panel prepared to vote? Yes, Mr. Marabella?
Thibodeaux, I have to say that I came into this interview this morning after you filed, feeling one way. And I'm not sure exactly where I am right now, but I want to talk to you a bit about where. You're 60 years old. You're a ninth offender, serving a 20-year sentence. You've got high needs for substance abuse. You've got high needs for a number of things. You're a high risk, according to our calculations. Since you've been in prison this last 5 years, you've taken probably the best approach that we have to offer on substance abuse, Steve Boyle. Successfully completed that. Here to have a good transition plan for sobriety. Have a lot of mental health issues. Your supervisor here today spoke glowingly of what you've been able to accomplish. I've been impressed with your interview. I need you to be honest today. I know drug addicts are manipulators, and I certainly don't have lie detector in my brain to be able to tell when somebody's BSing me or not. I believe you're sincere, and based upon all of those things, I'm willing to give you a chance. My vote is to vote to grant your parole to the sanctuary in Lake Charles. Follow all of their requirements, including both substance abuse as well as mental health. I'm channeling of Judge Marilyn Castle, who I've known very well. And I know that if Judge Castle said that's what she wants you to do and you've done it, I'm satisfied with that. So I will follow up those two things at sanctuary, follow up with sober living. Hopefully they'll help you get a job. I also want you to do 3 AA meetings per week, more if required by the sanctuary. I want you to report to your parole officer for weekly for at least the first 4 weeks to make sure you get acclimated. I want you to have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'm just one vote, but I'm willing to take a chance on you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Renata?
Mr. Thibodeaux, I do agree. I didn't know really what the outcome of today was going to be, but I enjoyed listening to the interview. Very open and honest. I enjoyed listening to those who spoke on your behalf. So my vote also is to grant to, I think you have a good long-term transition plan with the sanctuary and then eventually the sober living. I was impressed by the remarks by your supervisor. So my vote is to grant to the sanctuary with the same special conditions Mr. Maribel laid out.
You have 2 votes to grant. Also, I'm going to vote to grant your parole to the same stipulation to the sanctuary. You'll follow substance abuse and mental health requirements. You'll do NAA 3 times a week. Report to your parole officer for the first weekly for the first 4 weeks, and you'll have a curfew from 9 p to 6 a. You understand the stipulation?
Yes, sir, I do.
3 votes to grant. Your parole's been granted. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
9:21 will adjourn. Rapides. Thanks.